Hello, everyone. A warm welcome to you all to this virtual town hall. I am Paul Ndiho. Today, we will explore the many ways in which African entrepreneurs are coping with the impact of COVID-19 and perhaps how some businesses have shifted towards digital products. We'll also take a closer look at how e-learning is gaining ground and how digital payments are the next big thing. Joining me via Skype are five distinguished entrepreneurs on the African continent. From Lagos, Nigeria, we are joined by Paul Orajaika, CEO of Aldon Toys. From Accra, Ghana, we are joined by Regina Hunu, CEO, Soronko Coding Academy. From East Africa, we are joined by Sam Wanjohi, CEO Popote Pay. He joins us from Nairobi, Kenya. Samantha Nyonsaba, Corporate Innovation Lead at Innovation Village in Uganda. And last but not least, Jennifer Batamuriza, founder of Rwatech Hub, joins us from Kigali, Rwanda. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for taking time off your busy schedules to share your insights.
Thank you, Paul.
Well, I must say that I'm humbled to have this opportunity to host all of you. But first, let us start maybe by introducing ourselves. We start in Nigeria. Paul, you want to go first?
So I'm Paul Orajaka. I'm the CEO of Aldon Toys. I actually do a product that is very renowned for promoting African culture, known as the Unity Dolls. These are concepts that promote all the relevant African tribes and cultures within the continent.
Very nice. Let's go to Nairobi.
Yeah, hi Paul. Thank you for arranging this session today. I'm Sam Wanjohi. I'm the founder of Popote Innovations Limited. We offer solutions that help businesses transition to more digitally focused operations. Our primary solution is Popote Pay, a solution for businesses to make payments with ingrained expense management and accounting capabilities. So I'm pleased to be here. Thank you.
Let's go to Uganda.
Thank you, Paul, for having all of us. Samantha Nyonsaba from the Innovation Village. The Innovation Village is an ecosystem builder focusing on entrepreneurs, building, scaling, and investing in them across sectors. And I lead corporate innovation, which works with partners to identify their challenges and scale digital solutions while solving challenges in their respective sectors.
How about you, Jennifer?
Okay, so I'm called Jennifer Batamuliza. I'm the CEO and founder of Rwatech Hub. So Rwatech Hub is a company in Rwanda that does e-learning. So what we do, we mentor and train young girls about technology because of the gap that is there in the country. And I think globally, few female join IT sector. So I try to mentor the girls and women how to code. Yeah, so that's what we do at Rwatech Hub.
Hello, everybody. My name is Regina Hunu, and I'm the CEO of Soronko Academy. So Soronko Academy is a coding and human-centered design academy in Accra, Ghana.
Very, very interesting panel today. I look forward to some of your insights. Maybe let's start off right off the bat by maybe getting your thoughts on how COVID-19 has impacted your businesses.
When we shifted to online, we lost some students because most of them, they don't have the devices. Others, they don't have internet facilities. So, and others have internet, but the internet is not good. So we had some problems with that. And I tried to record some videos. And for those who had problems with internet, we will send them the recorded videos. And also those who had, also those who missed, I would send them the recordings. Yeah.
Here at the Innovation Village, being an more so an entrepreneur support organization, it has affected a lot of entrepreneurs in our community, but also it has also created opportunities to scale some of the solutions that have kind of had a silver lining during this crisis, and also it has created more opportunity for us to scale our operations with support from the Mastercard Foundation, but definitely a hard hit on everyone in general, and it has really proved the agility that innovation requires. So sleepless nights, but all worth it to cruise through this period.
Interesting.
For all the toys, and the COVID that actually affected our business in some sense, but also provided opportunity for us to scale our business in another sense. So just talking about some of the bad side is a couple of lost businesses that were supposed to probably have gone out in terms of our partnership with some of the duty-free stores. And we know that travel was one of the first things that was affected. So some of the businesses would have consummated. We lost those ones, but for now, it's all still being held up until things come to normal. We hope to pick them up. Then on the other good side was that most of the businesses, small businesses who sell toys, were not playing in the online space. So a lot of businesses moved to the online space. A lot of customers were now buying from the comfort of their homes because of the lockdown. So at this point, everybody was now going to a business that already had that online presence. So during the period of the lockdown, our online was really, really, really booming. Until the government came with 100% lockdown, where even the delivery guys for non-essential things, which our product were considered as, we had to shut down for another 1 month. But before the partial lockdown, our online was a good trend. It moved and gave us a lot of traction within the Nigerian populace. So I would say on one side was a lost business, but on the other hand, had good opportunities to scale our business online and reach more customers across the country.
How about you, Sam?
Yeah, so for me, the month of April, because I think the whole COVID thing blew up around towards the end of March. And in Kenya, we were not really instructed to go into a lockdown until just towards the end of March. So April was a pretty hard month for our business because we support a lot of businesses with their payments and expenses. So of course they all started conserving cash and not making payments as much as they were, and their businesses were down. So that month was a bit hard. But what we found is that we increased the uptake of new customers immensely because more customers needed a digital solution to be able to manage all their payables remotely while they are home, because they cannot deal with cash directly, they cannot sign checks, they cannot go to the bank, and they need to collaborate amongst their teams with our tools. So from then on, May, June, we've seen incredible increase in business, even though our old customers are still not transacting as much because business is not up to normal. So overall, I would say business-wise, it's been good for us in terms of people are now just more amenable to take on digital solutions. Somebody who had never even tried Skype like we are on today has now definitely tried at least Skype or Zoom or one of those. And it's helping people think that, hey, this digital stuff is not that difficult. Let me give it a bit of my time.
So, similar situation to what Jennifer is saying. I mean, when you're working with women and girls in the tech space, access to laptops and internet is a privilege, right? It's not everybody who has that. So for us, for some of the transitions, luckily for us in Ghana, the lockdown didn't last for so long. So we were on lockdown, I think it was like 3 weeks, and then they started to ease restrictions. So
help us understand how that transition has been for people who are not used to transacting things online or doing anything remotely, that now this has become the new normal. How has that transition been from your perspective?
For us, it was not what we were used to as a business in terms of having our Zoom meetings or the Skype meetings to do things as a business. We quickly had to, first of all, set up a Zoom account that would enable us, have those longer than the normal usual free time. And that was also on our own business side, was some of the things we did to position ourselves to start working remotely. And then as a business, we try to make sure that everybody had the best of Wi-Fi in their houses. We took that time to spend this kind of money so that we can always have seamless meetings as against them having that at their own cost. Then that we did as a business. Then for our customers, we found out that there was a lot of new buzz and new traction and new traffic into our site. So what we just felt was these people were not coming in because of the restrictions with movement, and they needed to come in one of our social media handles, online present, to buy their toys. So for the customer side, I wouldn't probably see how we transition to using those technologies to get to us, but on our own, we enhanced all those things and make sure that we operated seamlessly while the lockdown was on.
How about you, Samantha?
Yeah, so I think everyone can agree that there was at some point when, when we all went into lockdown, that for a moment everything was like on a standstill. What should we do, right? And on our end, even conversations with partners, about to launch certain projects were now all on a standstill. Our partners were going silent. But again, it was everyone trying to strategize and say, how is this going to affect us? What can we do? So that was March, and then somewhere in April, that's when phone calls started coming, and this was on what can we do. And now, being of course in the innovation and entrepreneurship field, and on my end working with partners on how they can innovate, how they can work with entrepreneurs, it was on what can we do? And then that process started to be fast-tracked. Companies were thinking of, we need to reach more customers. How do we take our products online? What startups can help us sell online? And so that was then expedited. So it came with the agility on how can you think creatively about how to solve certain challenges for partners. In that regard, also launched PPE. So from the fabric space, let's start making masks. Let's start making and in that sense, you're also creating opportunities for young people, for women to still have opportunities to work, to sell. And that's why I say that it was a lot of strategizing, a lot of hard work, a lot of saying how can we shift and support entrepreneurs.
Jennifer and Regina, you seem to be in the same kind of business. Both of you deal with empowering young women. You teach them how to code and all sorts of things. How has this maybe impacted you, and what lessons did you learn from this whole experience?
So can I start?
Sure, go for it.
Okay, so for me, as I said, it wasn't easy for me to move online from physical way of teaching the girls. So the good thing with physical is that we have our own computers and we have our internet at the site. So the students used to come just empty-handed and we give them computers to use. But then when we shifted to online, we lost some students because most of them, they don't have the devices. Others, they don't have internet facilities. So and others have internet, but the internet is not good. So we had some problems with that, and I tried to record some videos, and for those who had problems with internet, we will send them the recorded videos. And also those who had, also those who missed, I would send them the recordings. Yeah.
Okay. So
how about you, Regina? Yeah.
We also had to go online, but that meant that it was really targeting more of the privileged group of Ghanaians. And as soon as they eased restrictions, we then started doing face-to-face. But what that meant was really changing even how we set up at the academy, the number of people that could come, changing in the different protocols. But also for us, another important thing that COVID brought to bear was the fact that when you talk about access, opportunities, you're really talking about two major regions, which is Accra and Kumasi. So right after, we decided to now make a more conscious effort to reach out to women in different regions. So luckily, we started a partnership with the Ghana Tech Lab, also part of the Masterclass Foundation work, and started a pilot program to reach out to partner with 5 different hubs to do a training. And I got the opportunity to go across the regions and really understand what does the digital landscape look like for women and girls in different regions. And you discover that, COVID has really shown the digital divide, and that those who are unconnected were really left behind, even when it came to information, the better resources. So they were thriving on sort of fake information. And most people didn't even believe the virus existed. In some of the regions, like there's nothing like a mask. They are operating like the virus is just in like certain spaces. So we really had to now look at what more can we do to reach out to more women and girls outside, the more digitized regions, which are Accra and Kumasi. And that's one thing that we started to do more.
Interesting. Sam, you are probably the only person here who is into fintech, digital payments platform. How has your experience been at this throughout this COVID-19?
Okay. On the customer perspective, as I said, it's been a largely positive experience. I think where the challenges have come in is more around our team. So as a software as a service company, we are very heavily software developer oriented. So what we actually discovered is that when people work from home, of course, everyone's personality is different. So in a lot of techie people, a lot of them are actually introverts. So by bringing them to an office every day, you're forcing them to interact. You can have the meetings and all that. But once they retreat into their homes, you will struggle even to get a phone call, or they are not proactive in terms of communication. And they are very happy just being left in that in their quiet bubble. So I think that communication was the most challenging. I can't even say right now we've sorted it, but we adopted communication technology much more in terms of we started having online chat groups that we would actually post small pieces of work and updates to work. We limited these kind of conference calls because they struggle with too many of them, and developers want to get in the zone where they are working like clockwork for 6-7 hours, and then a lot of them reverted to their college habits of working through the night, and they're not awake in the daytime. So those kind of challenges, I'd say, the human challenges are the ones we're sorting. So actually, one line of business that I found is going to open up, and I'm actually trying to search for such a consultant locally, is consultants who maybe just give companies an hour, 2 hours a week, arranging their conference call and holding everyone accountable to what was discussed. Just like a kind of somebody who is just like the adult in the room. Huh? So so that we can be a bit more cohesive. And then I think corona or not, it's still important that maybe once a month people meet up with their masks, social distance, and share a meal and just get to see one another. Yeah.
A lot of entrepreneurs, even here or across the globe, have had issues maybe keeping some of their staff on either employed, or some of them have had to follow their staff. Did any one of you guys have to do that during this time?
Okay, so let me start. For me, what I did is we sat with the whole group. So we tried to discuss what's the way forward, like what can we do, because now we are not like generating income the way we used to, and most of the staff, they agreed on one thing, like let's cut the salary half, and then to keep the business like afloat. So we cut the salary of the employees, but we didn't fire any employee.
Okay, for us as a business, it was a very interesting time because during the lockdown, what we did was we had to pay 100% salary because we knew even though they were home, they still needed to feed, they still needed to live. But the moment the lockdown was lifted, when we came to work the very first day, we had a meeting. And me as the CEO, I already had a plan. So I called them and I said, listen, we don't know what the trend will look like now that the government has relaxed this thing. Probably business will not pick up in another couple of months. We don't know what we're going to face in these coming months. That you guys should understand that as a business, I actually paid you guys full salary for the last 2 months. So what we're going to do is this month, let it be target based, target rented, that everybody would be very sure of 50% salary. That one is basic. Then the other 50 will be variable based on your performance. And because they were only coming to work 3 times in a week against the normal 6 times in a week, even though the transport fare had tripled, so even though they were coming to work less days, they were spending almost more than they were spending when they were coming 7 days. So we said, let it be target based. And I just pushed it out to them. But deep within me, I knew I was going to pay these guys, no matter the performance, 100%. I just wanted to bring out that, that vibe in them. And amazingly, they all signed up to it that yes, 50% was fine. But that first month, it was amazing. We did well above our targets. Or like, okay, so we called again and said, everybody, you've gotten paid 100%. The second month, guys, let's work something. Let's keep the pace. And at the end of it, or the second month, we were slightly below our target. But what did I do? I still paid 100%. And I said to them, this third month, which is now July, that the shortfall we had in the month of June, we need to make up that shortfall so that we would actually still at 100% for the month of July. So you see, I do these things to psych them up, but it didn't mean I'm always going to have their salary at 100%. So, and I saw the way they were really pushing with this new system, and they were really trying to make sure that they moved their stores, they made their start, they made phone calls, they had the deliveries and the others. And even like that, aside that, I tried to do what you call try to foster teamwork, where even those who have not met their own specific target, we did what we call collective performance of everybody, and everybody got paid. So this is what I've deployed in the last 3 months, incentive based. Within me, I would always provide their full check every month. But they're good enough. They've been doing well. They've been working. They've been motivated, and then I think we'll keep running on full salaries so long as things continue to stay as it is.
No, I was just jumping in and saying that, like at the Innovation Village, I would say it's a blessing that no one was let go because of COVID or had to incur salary deduction. However, that didn't mean a laxity in terms of delivery. It actually only amplified what we needed to do. And we work in a very heavily driven, performance-driven culture, which was only heightened during this period. So straight from if you are an administrator and at the moment the physical space is locked down, and so maybe in terms of walk-ins and the different tasks that will need a physical space, it's not that with the lockdown. Your skill would have to be tapped into somewhere else that a program has needed. So So it only amplified again what we were doing and the performance-driven culture, and in that, how can we ensure that we are still also supporting the people around us? Because if this has brought an opportunity for us, and again a blessing that we're able to innovate around it and support, how can we then transfer that support to the entrepreneurs around us? So again, no one was let go because of COVID, but again, the performance-driven culture was only iterated more during this period.
Go ahead.
Just wanted to just land off where Samantha ended. So similar situation. We're also thankful we didn't let anybody go, but we had to pivot into a new way of generating revenue, which was doing online classes. But most importantly, also we had to pivot into a new way of making sure that our brand presence was strong. So I was telling staff, like, this is the time that people have to use digital to communicate. And there were lots of people that didn't know how to do that. People would call us and say, we have to work from home and we are not sure how to get started. And we are afraid that if we don't perform, we'll be sacked because then our role is not really essential. We had kids at home and parents were really disturbed about what is going to happen within the break for education for children. So really it was getting the team to now really innovate within online. How can we deliver similar services? How can we also keep the brand going? So we developed a skills assessment tool. We did a virtual launch to still show our partners that we can still deliver. Because then we had a partner that was like, oh, we were going to launch. What do we do? Do we wait? And we're like, no, let's show our partners that we are still proactive. So we're like, we're going to organize a virtual launch. So we had a virtual launch. We did a Facebook Live session, and we actually reached more people than we would have if we had a physical launch. And so we still always had to show that we still can deliver value, whether we had the lockdown or we didn't have the lockdown. And that allowed us to keep our staff. But like Samantha, our staff really had to put in extra, just to show that we can still, be relevant.
How about you, Sam? Earlier you talked about how, despite whatever was going on, you're able to scale up and attract a new business.
Actually, our perspective is slightly different. Our business prior was driven by quite a bit of B2B sales, where salespeople would actually approach businesses and have a discussion and presentation of our solution, etc. So what the big shift was that now, once we were unable to have those physical meetings, our sales team was largely commissioned based. So unfortunately for our sales team, a lot of them then very much struggled because they were so used to doing the sales in the completely traditional process of going and pitching at a company. And at the same time, our sales were not actually suffering because the customer was much more willing to, we quickly did things like did video demonstrations and hosted them on our website. We had trained account managers to be able to do presentations over a call like this. So what we found is that although a lot of the team only took a small pay cut, which in effect maybe didn't affect their lives because now they don't have transport to their office to think about, a lot of landlords reduced rents, blah, blah, blah. So there was not many complaints, but for the salespeople that were unable to transition to digital, I think they really suffered, and those that don't get their act together, unfortunately, won't find themselves with a place in the new economy, not just in our company, or I think in most companies that were trying to always generate, those people that always say, yeah, can I meet you? And even it can be discussed over the phone. It's an African habit that people just feel like I can talk to you better or convince you better if I'm in front of you. So I'll just say that for those young people in those sales roles, it can be a complete disaster. We are trying to help them with training and mentoring, but really finding that some people are just not willing to make the shift that is needed. And it's very sad. I can't see a way out for a number of those kind of roles that are going to be changed forever.
Samantha, earlier you talked about how, for example, during this time, you met a lot of young entrepreneurs who are trying to innovate around the COVID. People came up with different new things to stay alive. Can you maybe talk more about that?
Yeah, so and I think this is seen straight from big organizations to small businesses, is that if you have a business model that was working pre-COVID, and then during the crisis it needs iteration, and how can your solution be altered with the resources that you still have to then go ahead and still provide services. So an example is, again, with like Motive and the fabric space. It's okay right now, fabric, right? Masks, PPE. So how can we, create employment for young women to, for the youth to continue making masks, have employment, and sell in the fabric space. In the fabric space, I wouldn't say was focusing on masks pre-COVID, but definitely it has led to a sustainability of a good number of employment opportunities. Others are like, from e-commerce platforms, right? We have Sente who now, they help you sell. That is their tagline, we help you sell. And so then you find a lot of businesses are shifting onto their platforms. You find supermarkets are saying, how can we leverage e-commerce platforms to sell more, right? Because again, there's a limited number of apps that you can have on your phone. So how can we leverage, somebody with a customer base of 50,000 users to sell more? Other examples are people like agricultural platforms who provide inputs, right? So, there's a standstill in a lot of businesses, but then you find startups who provide agricultural inputs, and an example is like, Famunera, who can deliver in a day, who could deliver agricultural inputs in a day during the crisis to farmers, so that agricultural productivity could continue. And then that's again, and even with let's not forget tourism, right? Tourism was something that has been hit hard, and then you find tourism platforms have had to rethink what opportunity can this bring, right? People are afraid of traveling, but how can you still drive the spirit of local tourism? So you have some of our startups in our program like Tuvayo, who then had to think of how do we continue to stay relevant. So then you find they have local celebrities featuring on their platform, talking about this and that. So that's just a small example of how some of these startups kept on with the agility to stay relevant and to innovate in this crisis.
For Regina and Jennifer, both of you deal with women. Some of them don't have access to internet or even the computers that we are talking about. What have you been able to do to make sure that you still serve these women, at the same time to try to maybe to make sure that they are not left behind? What is it that you've done differently to make sure that these women are still a part of your daily day-to-day business?
So one of the things that we've done now is a lot of strategic partnerships, because we realize that we can't do so much just by ourselves. So we did a lot of partnerships with different hubs across the regions, and we are extending those partner relationships. So like I said, I did a lot of traveling to I think it was like 7 or 8 regions to see the hubs that we can partner with. And then within the hubs, some of them also received like some hub support in terms of laptops from partners like MasterCard. Others are also looking at how they can continue to engage with women. We're also looking at different community centers, different spaces that have kind of been there, but they didn't have content. So we realized that there were all these abandoned spaces that were either started by other NGOs or organizations that were equipped but because they lack content, and they don't really know how to run the spaces. And so we are also reaching out to these organizations to say, look, we have content, we have curriculum, we have trainers. You don't even need to, the trainer doesn't even need to leave the community. You can do a train the trainer within the community and they can stay there. So this is one way of reaching out to different people. In Accra, one of the things we're also doing is like acquiring more devices and having a laptop situation, or even a situation where they can do hire purchase to purchase some devices after they've secured jobs, from learning the skill. So we are looking really at different ways, but I think the key thing that COVID has really brought to bear is it's important to partner faster, right? It's important to look at who's doing what and see where do we end and where do they start? How can we complement each other's efforts? And then we can go further. So really, that's one of the big things that we're doing, a lot more partnerships, and it's allowing us to scale more efficiently and more sustainably.
I want to
Sure, go for it.
I want to jump in on Regina's point and even pose a question to say, when you talk about strategic partnerships, right, and for sustainability, here, of course, there's a challenge of when, especially like, let's say in the corporate sector, right, you find that certain organizations can spend over a budget of, I was about to say it in Ugandan shillings. Let me change that to dollars. Let's say $200,000, right, on a CSR project that barely has the impact, right? However, they're probably going to be, they'll be constrained to putting that investment in a shared value that still creates the impact that they would have created in the CSR, right? But a shared value meaning that you are creating the impact, but probably even has the potential to still create revenue or strategic partnership for the organization. And I think that phenomenon, to me, I understand the bureaucracy of the corporate sector and different organizations, but is that something that each of you has faced? And is this a challenge in different African ecosystems? And how have you, should I say, navigated through that?
Okay, so let me start because I just went through a whole lot of different things. So I mean, first let me talk from the corporate perspective. So with corporates, they have these big meetings and then they agree on the agenda. And you have some individuals that are quite rigid in that agenda that they've set. You can come to them and have a conversation around, you can create more shared value or you can drive more impact if they have all these partnerships. But then they ask a lot of questions like who is going to join the team, like what are the affiliations, like everybody comes in sometimes with how can I maximize on this. So that can take a lot of convincing. And when you look also at the individual partnerships, that also is a lot of work. Like for me, you go in with a particular agenda, but you must really understand your partner's mindset, because some people come in really thinking about, okay, this is an opportunity for me to maximize something. So not necessarily the shared impact is what they are looking at. They are thinking, okay, how can maybe my organization benefit, or how can this go this particular way? So for my approach, I try and understand what does everybody hope to achieve from this partnership, and how do I navigate all that bureaucracy without taking things personally, or just keeping it moving. So there are like lots of fights and arguments. I mean, it's not smooth that go on, but what is the main objective that we are trying to reach, and how can I show even the corporates that this brings more value to their brand? Because corporates, when they are doing CSR, they want everybody to know that they are doing CSR, and it still has to affect their bottom line somehow. So painting that picture of how this, when you move the CSR from just doing this project and bringing it as a shared value, it still affects your bottom line with numbers. So they like it when you are able to paint the picture with data. Like when this happens, you either attract a new group, and for us, when we bring in the female part, we always use that as a big selling point. Like you are able to also add on to either helping more women and girls, but also adding on to the diversity conversation. So you are, supporting women and girls in a different way through this using technology. So it's a lot of work. I mean, there are some organizations that you talk to. There's one organization that I've been engaging with for 3 years, and I always have to take aspirin after every call because it's like, like I'm like pulling my hair out, but giving myself I'm like, you can do this, you can do this. Because I'm still thinking of the objective. And there are some too that are some easy wins. But I think always go for the low-hanging fruit. Where can you do a quick win and then use that as a showpiece to now go for bigger wins? Yeah.
Jennifer, you had something to say. You wanted to jump in?
Yes. So for me, what I can say, mine is different from who? I know, Regina. Yeah, Regina. So it's somehow different because here in Rwanda, the schools were closed. So there is schools are closed, including the academies and all those hubs. Everything is closed, and they've been closed since mid-March. So you understand, it has been long, since from March up to now, and they said that schools will be opening, schools, hubs, and centers will be opening in September. So you understand, almost 6 months. So this center has been really affected and we have no way to reach the girls. For sure, it's really hurting to see me losing the girls, because mostly even I focus on those girls from villages, those girls from rural areas. Those are my target. Yes. And for them, I even train them freely. They don't pay for the service. So I lost the girls, but I tried to communicate with them because I have their phone numbers. I would talk to them, and those who are just near Kigali, I'll find ways of printing some contents like questions, answers. I just give them the hard copy. So it's not easy. And about partnership, it wasn't easy now to partner with even companies. I was thinking of partnering with companies that give laptops to students and they pay at some in installments. It wasn't possible because everything is closed. So I lost the girls, unfortunately. It's so hurting, but the few who managed to have their own laptops and internet access, we continued, and for them, they are really doing well. They're really doing well, yeah. So that's what I can say. And for Ratec Hub, we give the short courses, so it's not, it's just 1 month. I train the girls for 1 month, and then I train another group and another group. So even some partnerships couldn't work, for the laptops, because some parents are not willing to pay just to get the laptop for 1 month because they don't know any other way to use that laptop. Yeah. And for the laptops.
Oh, sure.
And,
go ahead. Yeah.
And for the laptops in the hub, and for the desktops in the hub, we can't move them. So yeah, they're just there. They're idle. No one is using them. Yeah.
I just had a quick question for Jennifer. So Jennifer, is there any timeline indications in Rwanda as to when there'll be easing of restrictions? Do you have anything to plan with, or is it just you just have to wait every day till something happens? Is there
okay?
Do you have timelines or plans, or I'm just
okay? So what I can say here in Rwanda, we are having partial lockdown. We had full lockdown for 1 month and a half, and then we moved to partial lockdown. So for partial lockdown, some people go to work, not all, 50% people go to work, only the essential staff, and some few businesses are still working. But with schools, the Ministry of Education, they had to be clear about it. They announced that schools will start in September. And still, we are not sure if September we will start. Yeah, so it's just there, we don't know if we're opening anytime soon. Yeah.
Paul, earlier you were talking about how pre-COVID you are not doing a lot of online sales, but somehow you've managed to do a lot of online sales. How has that transition been for you, and what is it that you did to bring you up to speed?
Okay, one of the things was we needed to enhance our delivery. channel because at the time of the COVID, pre-COVID, we weren't handling such that much deliveries. So first, we tried to make sure that our delivery channels was enhanced to take the number of goods that were coming in. Besides, these customers wanted to always have these goods as quickly as possible. And then we had like the number of teams that were doing it before then. And with the COVID bringing a lot of traffic to our online sales, we needed more hands. So even as a business, we actually recruited a couple of new hands into our business because a lot changed during the COVID. And the momentum for the online business has still remained up till this time. So we're deploying more resources as a business because we begin to see there's a lot of power in the online business. Our online was a good trend. It moved and gave us a lot of traction within the Nigerian populace. So I would say on one side was a lost business, but on the other hand, we had good opportunities to scale our business online and reach more customers. We've also done a couple of new budgets, brought in a couple of new hands to the online sector. And we always pride ourselves to say, okay, before now, online was just like about 30% of our business. But right now, after this COVID crisis, online is hitting almost 60% of our business. So what have we done? New hands, new delivery channels. In fact, even new delivery vans have just been bought by the company because we're beginning to see a lot of orders from every part of the country. So what we've done was simply boost our channels to be able to meet the demands that were flocking into our business.
Interesting. Sam, before you dropped off, we're talking about how everybody is trying to do their best to make sure that their business stays afloat. You are into the digital platform. How do you see digital payments maybe playing out after COVID, or how do you see your business scaling up, trying to come up with different ways of attracting new customers?
So we've already started thinking quite intensely around that. So some of the opportunities, for instance, we see is giving our customers more features, even solutions that tackle the problems that they are dealing with in every day of their businesses. So, for instance, we realized that when people are working remote, collaboration is an issue, and we then deployed some CRM features into our solution, which have been very well received. We realized that a lot of the NGOs were now having to disburse a lot of bulk funds. So we rolled out our solution, particularly for NGOs, and that's been picked up by some of the largest NGOs here very quickly. So it's really just around figuring what the challenge is that our customer is going through and where you can, without leaving your vision and your focus, serve them a little bit. So that's what we're doing.
What specific lessons have you learned as entrepreneurs? Obviously from different markets. You all represent different markets, but you're very good at what you do, and you've succeeded in those specific markets. Okay, I think this is going to be the new normal. But what is it that you've learned that can maybe propel you to the next level?
I will say that while many startups might fail to survive this crisis, I believe that the pandemic has also given rise to more entrepreneurial activity, which is, I think, a strong reminder for us to reconsider how we value innovation in entrepreneurial systems, especially for partners. And another thing is, thousands of people and entrepreneurs are going to lose their jobs, and what is going to be the impact on entrepreneurship, right? So there have been decade-long efforts to enhance the entrepreneurial environment and diversify the economy, especially in Africa. And so this is a call on if it is the shake-up that has been needed to restructure the system and to continue supporting entrepreneurs in their journey.
Please, Paul, go ahead.
For me, one important lesson I've learned with this COVID is the need to make sure that your channel of sales are actually more than one, whereby I can just imagine a lot of businesses will begin to play cash up, trying to get into the online space. And then for those of us who are already operating in that space, we're only enhancing what we're already having. So I could imagine the time it would have taken you to have developed your website, your e-commerce platform, if you didn't have that. So one of the key things I would say has been a turning point for me was having more than one channel of business. So for me, the online platform that we had prior to COVID, it's even what we are now focusing on boosting our business operation. Like I said, the table is flipping because a lot of our businesses are going online, 60%, and we're even deploying more resources. So supposing we hadn't had that kind of platform, where would we be as a business? We would probably be playing in the top we are playing currently. So for me, it's something I would probably say businesses should look at having just more than that one channel, which is very important because the table could actually turn at any point in time, like the COVID has proven.
Regina?
Yeah, so just adding to what Paul said, for me, I think what entrepreneurs should be is take advantage to be a first mover within the space in the different sectors that they operate in. So for us, like Paul said, we also have to pivot a lot of our classes online, but we had to also differentiate ourselves as one of the first movers, even putting our content online in Ghana in terms of like adding different courses, and not just doing it strictly technical, but adding some soft skills. So we intersperse activity to also the technical coding trainings that we're doing, and also changing our brand messaging, because now we understood that we are not only speaking to the Ghanaian market like we were before, but because we've gone online, we are speaking to new markets. So we have to look at different payment platforms. I mean, we had to get a PayPal account, even though it's banned here. We use a lot of, to get it, and different payment channels, because now we move from just solely focusing on the Ghanaian market to having to go online and understanding, changing our brand messaging and marketing materials to be able to speak to a more international client, looking at different payment platforms to be able to get money. So one of the challenges we had was even getting money from our neighbors, Nigeria. We realized that it was quite a struggle, finding an efficient way to get people to pay just from around other African countries. So really, it's look at how can you be a first mover and innovate within the space, but also how can you look at your existing operations and see where you can pivot, but pivot thinking more international than local, because now, really your marketplace is, international.
How about you, Jennifer?
Okay, so for me, I just learned that we have to be ready every day, every time, because we don't know what is waiting for us ahead. So for me, this pandemic just taught me a lesson. Okay, I didn't have any idea before of going online, but now with COVID, I've learned that I shouldn't be just doing the trainings physically. I should have both physical training centers and having the e-learning or the online courses. So that's what I've learned. And again, another thing I've learned that I should invest more in technology than any other thing. Investing in all that, in technology. So that's what I've learned, and also what Paul said, having different channels of income to the business.
Going back to the point Samantha made earlier, does this crisis change the way people perceive entrepreneurship, or is it going to open new opportunities, like she pointed out?
Entrepreneurship has been quite big in Africa. I think because we don't have that many jobs to go around. However, Corona is going to exacerbate that situation of no jobs. So we are going to see a lot more entrepreneurs or small businesses. I think there's a difference between, small business owner self-employed and entrepreneur, but for this purpose, let's just put them all in the same pot. So I think we're going to see more of those. But I also see a kind of opportunity where it's giving us all a chance to reassess how we want to live our lives. You know, we're only on this earth for a limited period of time. And a lot of entrepreneurs, I believe, and even employees are going to realize that the freedoms that remote working can, if you don't want to go back to an office, you can start taking a lot of remote contracts. I think a lot of companies will start putting out a lot of jobs for remote workers because the skill set is different. People can become excellent at that, and you can live on the beach, or you can live up country, or live where you want to be and still be very productive.
Okay, so what I can also add on is that with this pandemic, I've seen that many people want now to be entrepreneurs. I'm seeing entrepreneurs like every day, like someone is waking up in the morning, oh, today I'm going to sell tomatoes, or I'm going to sell potatoes and etc. So now people have now they are valuing entrepreneurship than any other thing, because now they've seen that jobs can be lost at any time. So people who had jobs previously, now they are starting businesses. So ideas are coming out. Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to add to Jennifer's point that interestingly in Ghana too, you're seeing a lot more people going into more entrepreneurial ventures. What I think is the difficulty is they are just copying what is popular. So all of a sudden we had everybody doing delivery companies, and then all of a sudden we had everybody selling like the face shields that are clear. It's like when one trend starts to take off, then everybody goes into that space. So I think still there needs to be that differentiating thing for the entrepreneurs, not to just jump on, you know, what everybody feels like, oh, this is a quick way of making some money.
Okay, going back to the point Sam made earlier that there is going to be a shift in how people do business. You as employers, do you see yourselves continue to pay those exorbitant prices in rent, or you're going to figure out how to work from home? Because it looks like a lot of people have been able to do what they're supposed to do staying at home. For example, I haven't been to the office since March. I haven't been back there. So I've been able to do what I do at home. And there is a talk that at some point they might have to make some of us work from home almost permanently. Do you see a similar situation happening to some of you guys? Other than Paul, of course, who is in, he has to be physically doing his stuff.
Yeah, well, interestingly, one of the things I've realized from this partial work time is that we realize that in 3 days in the week, we complete our jobs. We complete most of our tasks. So we don't even actually have to be at work every day. And all we do is the remaining part of the work we take home for those days that we are forced to stay home. So I think even if they ask us to start coming to work every day, I probably will still not see the need why we should come to the office just every day if we can also push some of our businesses online. So I think a lot of things will change, and we might probably not even have to have everybody present in the office, because we're also restricted in terms of the number of workforce that you can have in your work area. So maybe because of the market setting that we operate in, perhaps we might need to maybe open every day, but in all honesty, it's not mandatory if we have to do our business within the time frame that the government has allowed us. So I think this will change. If the government keep it at 3 days a week, Paul, I tell you, I don't think I will cry over that at all.
On that note, our distinguished entrepreneurs were Paul Olajaika, Rajaina Hunu, Sam Wanjohi, Samantha Nyonsaba, and Jennifer Batamuliza. I look forward to hosting you in the near future. For now, so long from Washington. Thanks, everybody. You guys have been really, really great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Paul.
Bye.